Hi, folks. Welcome to our little series of 5-minute topics to get you going in your vacant land real estate business. I am speaking with our absolutely wonderful customer, Kathy Nation from Sweet as Sugar Land Deals. And I got to say, Kathy is the epitome of a fabulous customer because she gets to her leads. She responds quickly. She's onto things, and she's got that go-getter attitude. And I think sometimes it's worth sharing that with all of our other customers and people that might be exploring how to do vacant land to really know what differentiates those that are successful versus those that might be struggling with a few things too. So Kathy, thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to share what we have been working with you for these last several months and some great stories of our sales.
Wonderful. So let's get into our first topic, because this is going to be a series of a number of topics. And topic one for today is going to be about responding to leads, which I know you do really, really well. So tell us, Kathy, what are some of the best practices when it comes to responding to leads?
One of the things that has found to be really works really well for us is I'm in Eastern time zone. And so I answer through Tresta. We use that business as our servicing answer. They answering for us, and I take the calls from 9 to 5, but I let them go through Tresta. And then I have an admin that works virtually, and she picks up through 5 p.m. till 9 a.m. through the emails, and at least lets them know someone will be in touch. So we have an auto response that's live, to the to the lead at that time. And it's $36 a month. So we run our business very lean and we pay attention to all of those costs. And I feel it's very effective. And then it emails me in real time. It also texts me in real time. And so they say, what is it? Speed to lead, and the quickness of how
Yep.
all of
Speed
those
to
things.
lead.
And
I love
so,
that.
yeah, it's very important. And at least, even if it's just to get to them, to let them know that you will be back in touch if they have other questions.
Just to acknowledge the lead, right? To say, hey, I've
That's
got
right.
you. I've heard your message, and just to let them know that someone's looking after them. Because I always say, silence is deadly. When people
Oh,
don't hear
yes,
anything for a period of time, they feel like they've been forgotten. So
that's
talk
right.
to me, why is timeliness so important then?
Well, we've actually had several sellers, AJ, to mention to us that we've called and got no answer. We've called, left messages, and not heard from someone. And so I just have kind of taken that to be one of my pet peeves of, we want to respond. We're paying some money for these leads, we
Yeah.
need to respond to them. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, excellent. And I think timeliness being important too is about, I always say, and you've probably heard me say this a number of times, it's people before properties. And this is a
Mhm.
relationship-based business. And the minute we can start that relationship with someone, it just shows respect at the end of the day as well. If they've taken the time to open a letter, read it, or respond to a cold call or whatever it might be, and if they've taken the time to reach out, that's the time that they want to connect with someone. So if we can respond in kind to that, it goes a long way. So tell me,
Well, and
once you make that first phone call, what are the typical things you'll do on that first phone call?
we typically, with the sellers, I like to ask a generic question, and it usually spurs them on to finish and complete everything that I need to know. But I just ask them how long have they owned it, and they usually, with that, will come along with, my father passed it down, or I've just been paying taxes, or it's too far now, my wife has passed, we don't live in the area anymore. So that's usually what I just start with, that first phone call. And if I know they tell me only a few years, I usually ask, was the purpose to build, and then plans have changed or something like that, or was it just an investment? And that usually, that second question pretty much puts me in a position where I know if they're then going to say, well, I don't want to give it away, but I wanted to just know what your offer was. I wanted to just get the value. And then I can prioritize that seller along with the other calls that I'm getting, to make sure that we don't rush maybe on that one and let somebody else wait that is really ready to sell. So that's that's something that's taken me, several conversations or several, calls to learn, but you have to prioritize them and decide who, is going to get that first response, quick.
It's almost like triage, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the easy way of putting it. That's right. That's right.
And I
Heart
like that.
attack, line one, phone, nail in your finger over this way. But yeah, heart attacks up to the front line.
Yeah, love it. That's great. So once you've done triage, how do you manage the expectations of the seller in those first few interactions?
Well, we have several conversations. I do promise within 7 days that we will get back to them with an offer, but I do that now because I've learned. I used to say 24, and then when it went over, my expectations were just the opposite of what I wanted to portray. So
Yeah.
now I say 7 days, but if I get their email, and that's the other question I asked right after on that first call, would you prefer that? And how do you prefer to be contacted? I've learned that has 1,000% helped us. And so when we do that, then within the 7 days, I immediately get ready, and my admin and my partner does the comparables for us. And so I can send it to them in 3. So I've set up the expectations of
If they're
7.
expecting 7 and you're delivering in 3, guess what? Happy customer.
That's right, already. So, and then I share immediately with them if it's already an area that we have done business in. I share a little bit of the past sales, and if they've been slower, I let them know that too, so we can manage the expectation. So if I want to put a 6-month timeline on our contract, they don't have shock when they open it and ask why, because that kind of starts those questions of why so long.
Yeah. I like that you're minimizing the shock. And again, the whole thing, people before properties, right? People before properties. If you can manage someone's expectation and avoid that shock, it just keeps the relationship where it should be, which is great. So let's wrap up call number 1, which is responding to leads. Any other tips or tricks that you would say to people who maybe need to up their game a little bit with those first responses or that triage?
I think the responding to the leads that I mentioned on the seller side, and with Trusta's help, and then also we do put those sellers they're already in our investment dominator, our customer relations management tool, but we also tag those guys or flag those sellers as to when we got their call to when we loaded their original record, because with working with you guys, we've seen multiple people that still call in this time of year when we sent the first letter out to those guys in March. So that would be a tip that I would make sure that you want to make sure that you're not just assuming since the mailers just went out and you haven't heard that you won't hear.
Correct. Yeah, these things take time, and not everybody opens their mail at the same time. They sure all don't respond at the same time. This whole business is not just people, but it's also timing as well. So Kathy, thank you so much. Anything else you want to wrap up about responding to deals for topic 1?
No, I think that's all.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. And folks listening, make sure you're nurturing those leads and, managing the expectation more than anything. Thanks so much, Kathy.